All right, so here's a video that nobody asked for, and one that I'm definitely not the authority on making, but this is my tips and tricks for doing kickflips. All right, foot positioning. I'm a big believer that the best foot position for kickflips is one that you are most stable and comfortable in. I know some people with the back foot, they like to have their pop sort of on the toe side rail of the tail, so that when they pop the tail down, it kind of brings the heel side of the board up, which makes sense for you to get an easier flick. But I just can't balance with my foot there. So my foot, for me, is just dead center of the pocket. And front foot, the front foot is positioned just behind the front bolts with my foot at just a slight angle. I don't have it hanging all the way over the edge. I don't have it pulled back in the middle. Just very similar, like my ollie would be here and my kickflip would be sort of here for my foot positioning. And that is just, for me, there and there, it's so similar to my ollie that it's just an easy foot position. I feel balanced, I feel comfortable, and I'm not trying to do anything too creative with my feet which throws me off balance when I'm trying to do a kickflip. So that's my foot positioning. All right, so you got your comfortable foot positioning, you're happy with your foot position, now it's time for the launch. So just like an ollie, you're gonna pop the tail and you're gonna be jumping off the skateboard. You obviously wanna try and get a nice, clean pop. There's two things that I focus on when I'm doing my kickflips. Number one, and this is a good rule of thumb to pick up on early if you're learning kickflips, it's the philosophy of don't kick where the board is, kick where the board's going to be. So what I mean by that is, a lot of people when they're learning kickflips will pop the tail and then they'll flick down at the board, because that is obviously where the board is. The board is beneath them and they end up getting like down flicks, or their foot goes beneath the board and you can't get it. You don't want to be flicking down at the skateboard. You want to be flicking where the board's going to be, not where it is. So when you pop the tail, the board is just naturally going to come up. So you don't want to be flicking down at the board. You want to be flicking up, which brings me into my next step, the next little mind game that I always play with myself. Play with myself? Jesus. The next little mind game that I use is I pop the tail and I visualize a target just about here on the board, just about my knee height. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the tail, I'm visualizing my target, and I'm going to roll my ankle and I'm going to flick my target just there. Bang. You don't need excessive leg movement for kickflips. You're not trying to flick all the way out here. It's all in your ankle. Your leg doesn't really need to do that much. You jump off the board, you get a good pop, you flick at the target, because that's where the board's going to be. The board is going to want to come up if you get a good pop. You pop, you jump, you roll your ankle, you visualize your target, and you flick the target. Once you flick the target, I then just focus on bringing my foot back over and trying to find the bolts to stomp the board down. And that takes practice. That takes a lot of timing. And there's not really any tips you can give for the landing other than you're just watching for the grip tape to stomp the board down. So to recap, you want a good foot positioning that is comfortable for you. You're going to pop the tail, you're going to jump up, and you're going to roll your ankle and you're going to flick that target. And then lifting your knees and placing your feet back over the board, finding those bolts and stomping the board down. Hopefully this helps somebody. Thanks for watching.